Christmas is almost here. It's a season that lasts until January 6th, the Epiphany. And every year, I think we experience Christmas in a little bit of a different way. Our personal situations change, the weather changes, and of course, world events also change. But a lot remains the same: the beauty of the season, the traditions that are associated with the celebration, and of course, the meaning of Christmas, when Jesus was born on earth and when God became a human person. Every year during Advent, I try to slow myself down to take in some of the mystery that I'm celebrating. If this is not your habit, I'd like to encourage you to block out a little bit of time in the next week or two to be still, to focus, to let the meaning of the experience of Christmas sink in. I'll give you some examples of the things that I myself have done. Maybe you'll find some of them congenial. I went to the Metropolitan Museum here in New York, to the room where they have every year a huge Christmas tree. Beneath that tree, they have a Neapolitan creche that they display, and it brings crowds, hushed crowds, every year. One year, a friend and I took her little nephew, and the boy had never seen the museum before, and he'd never seen that tree, and he'd never seen that creche, and he walked all around it, and he looked at all the figures, and he looked up at the tree, and he saw the angels that decorate it. That's all that's on the tree, just angels. And he said, "Is this where God lives?" And I assured him, yes, it was. It was where God lives, and that God also lived in a lot of other places. We began to discuss that everywhere, actually, and in everything. But that child's wonder has stuck with me through all these years, and that boy is now in college. In the same room this year, I went, sat on a bench, and sketched a statue of Mary at the Annunciation. She has her hands like this. It's a familiar sort of pose. It took me an hour or two to do it, and choral music was playing in the background, which was somewhat blissful, and I thought about the angel's appearance to Mary. Another day, I watched a snowstorm as it swirled and played and draped white all across Central Park. Another time, I decided to quiet my inner self because I can be pretty noisy inside, as I was making homemade soup and a pumpkin pie as a gift. At home, I put on some of my favorite Christmas music and sang along. That kind of thing puts me in a mood to realize how grateful I am, and maybe to be more generous than I usually am. During Advent, every morning at my house, I have a little Advent wreath, and I light the candles of it, and I sing, O come, Emmanuel," and I lay out my petitions before the Lord. I realize as I do these kind of little things just how blessed I am, especially this year, not only to have family and friends, to have health and peace in our nation, even though we're at war, we have peace here, but I also have an education, a job, and a place to live. How rare in our world that is. A person who lives in safety and who has no material want. 5 million people have died in Darfur in the conflict there. And there are conflicts, armed conflicts, all around our world, most of them needless. And yet they engulf millions of people, innocent people, in various degrees of human misery. So as I reflect on Christmas, I see two things. I see the beauty. Oh, the beauty. It's compelling. The lights, the bells, the music, the feasting, the Holy Family, and the truth of that. But there's also, with the beauty, the beast. The beast, the beast of human suffering. The millions of people in refugee camps, the people fleeing their homes as bands of men and sometimes just boys, armed with guns and machetes, crash through their villages. And then I hear the words of the angel to Mary, a young Jew, just a girl really. And he called her name Mary, full of grace, meaning you, Mary, are full of grace. You see, she's one of the blessed people. She's one of the haves, at least in the grace department. And why is that? It's because the Lord is with you, explains the angel. Now in paintings, we typically see artists placing Mary in a beautiful room. Sometimes it looks like a palace. Sometimes she's in the middle of reading, or she's just been praying when the angel appears. But I have never seen a picture of Mary sitting in a hovel, shivering and hungry, or in a refugee camp, or hiding to escape attackers when the angel comes. The angel's opening lines convey to me the deep meaning and the abiding joy of Christmas. God's messenger calls each one of us by our name and tells us that we too are full of grace, full because the Lord, the creator of all, is with us. And through Mary's yes to playing her designated role in the divine comedy as mother of Jesus, God was, in fact, born. I say in fact because I'm one of the 1 billion or more Christians who believe in the miracle. Imagine, though, what those words would sound like to an impoverished mother, or to a refugee who's lost everything, even a familiar place to live, to an old man who's been maimed in battle, or to a young boy afraid he'll be kidnapped and conscripted into armed insurgents. Imagine that you are one of those people and the angel appears and calls your name and says, you are full of grace. And most important, you're full of grace because God is with you, even in your suffering, even in your lost hope, even in your miserable condition, your experience, your fear. That's the truth of Christmas. I see so much beauty and so much suffering in this world, the world where God lives.